Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for part 2 of our series. I'm Paige Brooks with Apex IT, and I'm joined again with Anthony Mass and Keegan Olson. Welcome back, guys.
Great to be back. Thanks for having us.
Of course. So today is part 2 of the series where we're exploring the increasing demand for Click software customers needing to move off older, soon to be unsupported versions of their software. And today we're going to dive deeper into customer outcomes and strategies for transitioning from Click to Oracle Field Service. Okay, you guys ready?
Ready. Here you go.
Awesome. So customers are seeing huge short and long-term ROIs leveraging the capabilities of Oracle Field Service comparatively to Click. Who doesn't like that? Okay, Keegan, so what would you say are some of the outcomes your customers have been able to achieve?
Yeah, there's a lot of really great outcomes, and we touched on this in kind of our last session as well. But ultimately, when we're working on these implementations, we really focus on process improvement and leveraging the best-in-class capabilities that are in field service, with the goal of increase. Some of these goals that are on here: the increasing productivity, decreasing travel time, optimizing their resources so they can be used for more jobs and completing jobs less, focusing on deflection using the capabilities that are part of the overall platform. Ultimately, we want the customer to take advantage of the tool to standardize and consolidate, and that's where you really get the ROI, when you're able to use the same tool across the organization and use the capabilities to route better, to get the right person to the right job at the right time. And we see a lot of customers seeing a lot of great ROI. I think, Anthony, you had a couple examples of Oracle Field Service customers that have seen some great value. You want to talk about those?
Absolutely. I mean, we're excited to talk about some of these recent customer wins. Customers have been moving off of Click over into Field Service, and they've had some incredible results in a very short period of time. One of the first ones is a high-tech manufacturing company here in the U.S. And abroad, and they're able to move off of what I would say is a highly customized version of Click, and we're able to do it and move them completely into an out-of-the-box solution, really highlighting that notion that it's all about configuration and the flexibility of the Oracle Field Service platform in order to be able to handle what were customized capabilities in a Click environment and do that right out of the box. And it was a huge win. Also, we've seen customers like Anglian Water, who recently made the move to Oracle Field Service, and they were able to reduce their drive times by a whopping 15% and improve the technician utilization by 40%. And they did this just within a few months after going live. And maybe one last one to just put a stamp on it is there's a significant European TV and content provider, very large customer, technician base, and they were able to achieve a 33% reduction in their travel times and improve the overall efficiencies of the technicians by 7%. I think what's incredible is these weren't companies that had just deployed Click. These were mature companies, mature deployments. They'd been on it for years. They'd invested millions of dollars in customization work, and they thought they had the most optimized environment they could possibly get. And when they made the move over to Oracle Field Service and learned that it was all around configurations and the flexibility of our routing plans and how we do our actual routing, they had incredible results in an absolutely short period of time, which I think just puts a stamp on the fact that it's really a different system. It's cloud first, and it's all about configuration.
It's awesome.
Great wins. That's awesome. All right, Keegan, what should customers prepare for when planning for a transition from Click to Oracle Field Service?
Yeah, great question. So we've helped a lot of customers through this migration, and we always encourage is for a good amount of positive change. I mentioned this a couple of times, where we take this opportunity, moving off of this legacy on-premise, highly customized environment, and take advantage of this industry-leading, best-in-class field service platform. And not only just the field service, but also the call center aspects. Leveraging all of the comprehensive features of the tool, and using all of these capabilities to do better, to drive that efficiency. And Anthony just talked about some customers who did that, and the ROI that they got as a result of taking advantage of these configurations and leveraging the tool to be more efficient, really see some great gains. And when we go through this process, that again, it's a great opportunity. We go through just kind of a 3-step process. We look at what does a customer want to accomplish? How can we be more efficient? How can we standardize? How can we consolidate our operations under the single global platform? So let's harmonize that. Let's look at what Oracle Field Service can do and set a vision, what's that best practice, and set those future state processes together. And then we iteratively build and deploy that. We build through configuration and agile sprints, and that way the customers, as they're going through this journey and they're actually seeing the technology come to life and see how they can leverage the routing capabilities and the scheduling and the interaction between the inventory management, how the technicians are able through the mobile platform, they can see that and make adjustments. And then we typically go through initial deployment, get it live, get it tweaked as they need to, make adjustments, and then we unify the rest of the business operations. You can do it all at once, or a lot of customers will do it region by region or business line by business line, and then over time they get to that single global instance. So that kind of helps manage that change management across sometimes very large technician populations and call center agents. So that's a great methodology. We've seen it successful.
Great. Sounds like amazing benefits. So what resources should customers plan for when making the transition?
Yeah, good question. We engage the business throughout this. We want to make sure that they have lots of great input into the future state. Their IT resources, there's some that are there because we need to connect with their ERP system, make sure that inventory management and all of that information is passed back and forth. But ultimately, our engagement model is very flexible, where we can engage as much or as little as they need, just giving some basic guidance or kind of leading the entire implementation. We want to give them thought leadership and provide what are other customers doing so that they can be more efficient and more effective in their deployment.
Awesome. Okay, one more question for you guys. When considering long-term support for Oracle Field Service, what do customers need to do to keep their implementation up to date, as well as taking advantage of the latest innovations?
Well, I think when it comes to Oracle Field Service Cloud, I don't know if it's the business users or IT or the customers that love it the most, because from an IT perspective, they are removing this need, as they had in the Click world, of having to manage their infrastructure, dealing with all of their security, availability, uptime, and really the entire process of upgrading their environments has been a huge drain on the organization. And most of the Click customers are not just behind one version, they're typically 2 or 3 years behind on versioning, and a lot of that is because of the amount of customizations that have been put in place and the level of effort required in order to make those updates. And it's just once per year. With Oracle Field Service, you're going to get innovation 4 times a year coming out with input from the customers, looking at the future of service and how we're innovating to pull those out, along with all of the rest of the service solutions. That 4 quarterly release is something that our customers love. They can actually focus now more on driving and delivering business value to their teams out in the field, rather than spending all their time on regression testing and integrations. And it's just been a huge win for the business as much as it has been for IT. Keegan, maybe talk a little bit about how, from a resource perspective, though, the customers need to really engage in that support process, and how you work with Oracle to do that.
Yeah, that's the customer typically can manage the field service application with far less resources, less technical resources, because they're not having to do those major upgrades. There are quarterly releases from Oracle that they'll have to do, but they can either do that themselves or have a partner like us help with just minimal effort. One of the things that as we make this migration off of Click into Oracle Field Service, the great thing is it's not just the customer making decisions about the design. It's not just us making it, but we really encourage, and Oracle is so good at engaging throughout that process. They're engaged from a support standpoint to make sure, add their input into the design. They're there throughout the build to make sure it's in compliance with the way the tool is intended to be used, and then also from a post go live support, Oracle has tons of resources to help with making sure that the application is running smoothly, and so it's really just that partnership of the customer Apex and Oracle that's going to drive to a successful resolution. And then over time, the customer is able to just, ultimately manage it. Because from our implementation standpoint, we're very collaborative. We want to make sure that the customer is enabled to and understands how it was set up and why it was set up, and that way they can manage it over the lifetime of the application.
That's great. Love to hear about the partnership. Thank you, Anthony and Keegan. This has been really great information in both part 1 and part 2. So if anyone listening in has any questions or would like further information, these guys would love to talk to you. You can reach out to either Anthony or Keegan, and you can find their information on this slide right here. So that's it for our 2-part series of how your organization can benefit from switch to Oracle Field Service. Thanks again for joining us.
Thanks.
Thanks.